You know, this year we have the privilege in our country, Colombia, the country of beauty, to host this beautiful event. But before to start, I want to ask you, please, because we are recording and we want to show it not just with you for first hand, but with the world. And for that reason, I'm going to ask you, please, let me this part of the stage free, okay? Thank you very much, and let's start. Colombia, the country of beauty, is hosting COP16, the world's largest biodiversity event. Nearly 200 international delegations will gather in our country to reach agreements to stop the threat to our species, ensure the sustainability of the planet, and advance international commitments. The COP16 agreements are focused on the protection of the planet's ecosystems and species to 2050. We are waiting for you in Colombia, the country of the COP16.
Colombia, potencia de la vida.
Again, welcome everybody to this huge event for us and quite important. Make a noise, please. We are absolutely happy to have you here and to share this time and this opportunity to show the world the beauty of our country. On the vibrant stage of the United Nations Environment Assembly, UNEA 6 in Nairobi, Kenya, we are pleased to present to the world the image and inspiring message that will mark the next COP16. So here we want to show the beauty of our country. From October 21st to November 1st of this year, Colombia will become the global epicenter of biodiversity, conservation, and protection. Now, we want to show you just a part of a beautiful country. Please.
What is the most beautiful thing about Colombia? What is its true beauty? People are everything. How is a country not going to be beautiful when in it you can taste a different fruit every day of the year? We are proud of our 3 mountain ranges. Here, the wind brings an aura of progress. Our beautiful islands emerge from 2 oceans. Breathe. Breathe easy because we are a lung of the world. Who comes for business ends up staying for pleasure. Who comes for pleasure finds business opportunities. This is our invitation. Come for the first time or come back from wherever you are and tour the country to continue discovering Colombia, the country of beauty.
Colombia, the country of beauty. COP16, of course, is a great opportunity to reaffirm our commitment with the protection of biodiversity. But before unveil the official logo of the COP16, let's know the city in the Pacific region in Colombia that will host this important and huge event. So let's know Cali, the sucursal del cielo in Spanish, and of course the sucursal of biodiversity.
La ciudad escogida para realizar la COP16 es Cali.
En Cali no se camina, en Cali se baila. Y hoy bailamos al ritmo de la COP16 porque estamos orgullosos de representar a Colombia. Fuimos escogidos como la sede del encuentro de biodiversidad más importante del mundo, en donde más de 12.000 representantes de 180 países no solo hablarán de biodiversidad y acordarán acciones para protegerla, sino que la vivirán. Porque en este majestuoso rincón del planeta se reúne la riqueza de la biodiversidad, el conocimiento ancestral y la vida en todas sus manifestaciones. Hacemos parte de la región pacífica colombiana y del Chocó biogeográfico, que con sus montañas, selvas, extensos valles, mar, páramos y humedales, mágicos bosques tropicales y bosques de niebla, reservas naturales y áreas protegidas, nos ubican en una de las regiones más biodiversas del mundo y donde los verdaderos guardianes han sido las comunidades indígenas y afro. Cuando llegues a Cali, la capital mundial de la salsa, descubrirás que tus parejas de baile tienen forma de río, de aves, de árboles, de animales sorprendentes, de flores, para que juntos hagamos una coreografía perfecta que inspire al mundo a unirnos en el cuidado, la preservación y el respeto hacia nuestra biodiversidad y a quienes juraron protegerla. Bienvenidos a la COP16 Cali 2024. Llegó el momento de ponernos en paz con la naturaleza.
Colombia, potencia de la vida.
Before continue, I want to invite, of course, to our Minister of Environment of Colombia, Acting Executive Secretary of the Convention on Biological Diversity. Minister, in first place, we want to know your general impressions about receiving and hosting this huge event, and quite important, not just for Colombia, but especially for all the region.
Yes, Thank you. Hi to everybody. Thank you for being here with us. We are super happy, very excited to be able to host COP16. It's a huge challenge. We have 6 months to prepare something that normally countries prepare in 2 years. So we count on all of you to be with us in this journey. The meaning of hosting, and thank you also for the Secretary of the CDB for being able to help us to achieve this objective. For us, it means, especially a city like Cali, the convergence of cultural diversity and the convergence of biodiversity that in our country and in this region of the Colombian Pacific are really one. It is, you cannot get in your head the diversity of this country, of this region, but also of the whole of Latin America. To negotiate and politically talk about the future of the planet and biodiversity from one of the most biodiverse regions in the planet should call us to change our paradigms of what the future will hold, should change the place of enunciation and the political relevancy of the different negotiation topics that we have, and should also make the voice of Latin America and of very highly biodiverse countries to unite and speak up for what we consider one of the pillars of change, which is actually making peace with nature, which means changing the relationship we have with nature. And that relationship has to come from that diversity that sometimes is not very influential on the political landscape. So the mission of Colombia is to highlight that diversity and to make it influential in the political negotiation so that we can have a better future for all.
Thank you, Minister. And before to listen to Mr. Cooper, I want to thank, on behalf of Colombia, to Ms. Elizabeth Merma, Deputy Executive Director of UNEP. Thank you for your support, and thanks for the help to the organization to this very event. Thank you very much. Now, Mr. Cooper, I want to know what are your expectations about Colombia being the host of this event?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Great to see you all here. COP16, it's the first COP since the adoption of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework. The first thing we must see at COP16 is momentum, that we are moving that hugely ambitious agreement, an agreement to make peace with nature. We're moving it from agreement to action, that we're translating that global ambition into national ambition, and that we're providing the resources needed to achieve that ambition. There are many, many things on the agenda of COP16 which will make this meeting important. Another is to negotiate and agree a multilateral mechanism for the fair and equitable sharing of benefits from digital sequence information on genetic resources, to upgrade and develop the work we do, to integrate the traditional knowledge and the work and the roles and the rights of indigenous peoples and local communities in the work of the convention, to strengthen the links between biodiversity and climate change, charting a path from COP16 to COP30, and also looking at how our health in its so many different ways relates to biodiversity, among many, many other issues. Colombia really is the perfect host for a COP and certainly for COP16. A mega diverse country, huge diversity of species and of ecosystems, some of them unique to the Andean region, like the Paramo, which also exemplifies the importance of biodiversity for ecosystem services, for providing our very needs, but also its rich cultural diversity, the indigenous peoples, the Afrodescendientes, the other communities of Colombia. We'll see in a moment the logo, which you'll see symbolizes really the beauty of Colombia, the diversity of the country, the targets of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, the Biodiversity Plan, but also representing a rare and an endemic species that has been now a basis also of a new bioeconomy, representing both the fragility and the resilience of biodiversity, which really underlines the need for us to achieve harmony with nature, to make peace with nature. So, gracias, Susana, gracias a Colombia. Nos vemos en Cali.
Thank you, Mr. Cooper. Of course, that's a huge responsibility. We all, as Colombians, know, and we are so thrilled and excited. Well, now the time has come to unveil the logo of the COP16. Let's watch the video. Welcome to Colombia, the country of beauty. So to the world, this is our logo. This is Colombia, the country of beauty. But I want to show you what is it about. As you saw just a moment ago, this is a flower, a very special flower in our country. But let's watch a video to know how it was built and why did we choose this flower.
My story has been told by different voices of this land. My ancestors say that I was an indigenous princess, and I have lived here on this earth many lives. I have had to adapt to extreme conditions. I am strong and resilient. I grow under rain and sunshine. They call me eternal because even if they cut me, my petals cling to me. Now I represent the threats and climate crisis. I unite ethnicities, cultures, animals. I am the symbol of biodiversity. I am life. I am the symbol of peace with nature.
This is the flower of Inírida. And the slogan, peace with nature, as we have listened of our minister, these two elements will guide us to host the COP16 in Colombia. Finally, we want to finish this time with a next video about the composition of this flower and, of course, the work with the United Nations. Well, we know the flower is composed of 36 petals that correspond 23 goals of the Global Biodiversity Framework, and other 13 of the ecoregions of the National Development Plan of Colombia. That's the reason of every one of the petals. It reduces threats. That means 8 petals. The meeting people's needs, 5. The tools and solutions, 10 of these petals. And the ecoregions of the National Development Plan, 13. That's why we have chosen this logo to show the world the biodiversity of Colombia. But before to finish this event, I want again, please, Minister and Mr. Cooper, to know your first impressions of the logo we have known today.
Just to explain to everybody, the Inírida flower, Flor de Inírida, it's a very special flower from the Colombian Amazon in the department of Guainía, in the Maricube mountains. It's endemic to that area. It's only generated there, cannot find it anywhere else in the world. And it has a very special property. The flower, as you saw in the picture, is sort of pink. And but it's very sturdy, very hard. This flower never decomposes. The flower never dies. You can have it forever. Or of course it dies, it becomes a little bit brown, but its petals never fall and it stays forever. So we want to bring this flower as a sign of peace and to give it to everybody at COP16. We couldn't bring one to show it to you because of regulations, international regulations, but it's a flower that will stay forever, as biodiversity should reproduce and stay forever in this planet. So that's why we have chosen the Inírida flower, and with that very special produce of biodiversity of a very special place, endemic only to that place, we want also the Colombian COP to be unique and help contribute for our next step in biodiversity conservation and biodiversity procreation, actually.
Now, before to go with you, Mr. Cooper, I want to the minister again, because we all know in Colombia, the media are following us. So please, in Spanish, we want to know your general impressions about the new logo, and if you could explain a little bit the Peace with Nature theme.
So for the Colombian media, para los medios de Colombia y para los ciudadanos en Colombia, estamos lanzando el logo oficial de la COP16 en Cali, que es la flor de Inírida. Y la flor de Inírida va a representar el eslogan de la COP, que es paz con la naturaleza, y que significa la representación de esos temas únicos que trae la biodiversidad. La flor de Inírida es endémica a la región del Guainía y es una flor que nunca muere, que nunca sus pétalos se deshacen, y esperamos que la COP16 en Colombia pueda ayudarle al mundo a transitar esa paz con la naturaleza, precisamente para que podamos mantener y sostener la vida en el planeta para siempre.
Well, Mr. Cooper, of course, we want to know your impression, general impressions of this logo.
Thank you so much. And I think everyone can see it really symbolizes the beauty of Colombia, but also the diversity. Directly, the 13 ecoregions of Colombia, but more generally, the rich cultural and biological diversity of the country. As the minister says, it's an endemic species. So it's really very special to Colombia and to this part of Colombia in the Amazon. And as I mentioned before, it really symbolizes both fragility, vulnerability that we have on this planet and of biodiversity, but also resilience. it doesn't die, but perhaps also in another way, that we understand that the local communities have learned how to cultivate this flower and propagate it. And so it's perhaps also an example of the resilience and a symbol of the potential of the bioeconomy to make biodiversity contribute to our economy, but in a sustainable way. It also represents, as we know, the 23 targets of the Global Biodiversity Framework. I think it's a perfect symbol for COP16.
Thank you very much. Before to the end, I want to tell you we have a little bit of Colombia, a gift for most of you. I would like to say that is for everyone, but unfortunately we have just 50 to give for some of you. But before, I know maybe you can tell us or let us know some questions you have. We're gonna have 3. Yes, please.
First of all, my name is Mamadou Bari. I came from Senegal. Apologize for my English. But I would like just to ask the minister, as you know, we are all excited to attend at this important event, COP16. I usually attend COP on biodiversity. I would like just to ask, what are the facilities that Colombia offer the participant, like African participant, for example, to be able easily to attend at this event? Thank you.
Yeah, it's a good, maybe we get the 3 questions.
Okay.
Thank you very much. My name is Joshua Adem from Kenya. My question, I'd just like to ask you one question. From your preparation, I don't know how many African indigenous communities you've invited so that they learn from you and then we bring it into Africa. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, good morning, good afternoon. If you could tell us what would be your top 3 priorities? I mean, what would you specifically like Cali to deliver on? Of course, going ahead, but what more specifically? If you could give us a sense of that.
Hello, my name is Dennis. So I'd like to ask, what is the percentage or scale of the biodiversity in Colombia compared to Africa? Thank you.
Okay, so very challenging questions. But first, we want this COP to be people's COP. This means that we want to, as Colombian government, create the best conditions possible for participation and incidence of people at the COP results, especially because there's going to be a negotiation on the working plan for indigenous peoples and local communities. It is very important that we can mobilize people from all around the world to be able to participate. You can also, we will open channels of participation virtually, of course, as well. But of course, we are working with the major constituencies to the Convention on Biodiversity. So we as Colombian government can facilitate their presence, their gathering, their mobilization, and their incidents. We will be opening, as soon as we release the COP website, mechanisms to get also ideas from you of how we can facilitate that the voice of people, local communities, indigenous people, really influences the negotiation, because countries will be negotiating this working plan, and that's one of the key priorities. Having a working plan for indigenous people and local communities, we really believe in Colombia that their knowledge and that the dialogue of the different knowledge systems is absolutely critical to be able to find the responses for adaptation and for biodiversity conservation. We will have a special space, and we are working with the city of Cali so that we can create all the facilities for these gatherings, for the forums, and we are already receiving proposals from the youth, from the indigenous caucus, from the women, for the forums that they want to do in preparation. We'll be hosting an indigenous pre-COP so that indigenous people from around the world can organize themselves and tell clearly to the governments what are their expectations and what do they expect. And finally, we also are looking that the diverse countries of the world that have a special biodiversity can have a strong voice at COP. That's one of the priorities, especially in the negotiation around the benefit sharing of digital sequencing of genetic material. That's very important because we need that third pillar of the COP to be very visible. And finally, in terms of finance, we want to have a deeper conversation and negotiation on the financial aspects to be able to make the Kunming Montreal and the 23 goals a reality. So we expect the highest possible engagement. We want a very open forum, a very democratic forum, and hopefully this will help us to achieve these three goals. Thank you very much.
One more question, and we finish our event.
Thank you so much for raising my hand so late. As SDG goal is supposed to be on 2030, and we are running out of time. We have remained only 6 years. That is like 6 days to go. So how fast? I'm expecting the SDG goal to take place within 2 years to overcome that overlooming time is going to surpass us anyway. What is your respective government of Colombia doing to fight against that race against time? Thank you.
I think you're right in terms that we are running out of time for everything, for the SDGs, for the climate goals, for starting to stop the deforestation. And I would also like to, we believe in synergies. And one of the key objectives, answering also to the lady here, is how we can make nature conservation and the way we do things. That's why peace with nature means, which is that the way we do things do not destroy nature, but rather not only preserves, but allows it to thrive. This is what for us means peace with nature. And we want to position nature as one of the key pillars for climate transition. If we don't have silver bullet technologies that will solve this crisis, but we have the wisdom of thousands of years of indigenous peoples and of our experience as humanity in the planet, and we have the wisdom of nature of millions of years of evolution to help us as a species transcend this crisis. And we want the COP in Colombia to go deeper in realizing that, and that it becomes really a pillar for the survival of human civilization in the 21st century. Thank you very much to everybody.